Hi everyone! So for my TE 491 final project, I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits and challenges of arts integration. One benefit I found was that arts integration allows learning to become more personalized. Students can learn about themselves and the world by using the arts to learn academic content. Arts integration personalizes learning so that students can make choices about the arts they use and allows them to express themselves in a way that standardized learning does not. Sir Ken Robinson says that standardized learning expects all students to produce the same results, while good arts-integrated lessons will expect different types of results from different students. This allows students to express their knowledge of a subject in a way that makes sense for them. Another thing that stuck out for me from his TED Talk was when he said, "Creativity is as important as literacy." I think for the whole idea of personalized learning to work, we need to be able to understand that a student's ability to think creatively is just as important for his or her future as being able to read and write. This was definitely not the experience I had growing up. Although I think my teachers knew creativity was important, creative aspects of projects and assignments always seemed like an afterthought. When creative aspects were included in projects, we were always told that the content was more important and that we would not be graded on the arts aspects of the lessons. I think my schooling experience would have been a lot different if we had been expected to use creative thinking on a regular basis and if it was emphasized in general. A challenge that comes from this is convincing others that creativity is important. Not everyone thinks it's important, believe it or not, and if we want to use the arts in our classrooms, it's likely that we'll have to convince someone higher up, like a principal or superintendent, that what we're doing has value. While this is most definitely not an impossible task, it may be difficult if you're in a district that is not supportive of straying from or expanding on a rigid curriculum. Another benefit is that arts integration allows students to become more well-rounded human beings and can benefit them in every facet of life. In the article, Engaged and Empowered, Dancing to Success, Polak says, "The true purpose of arts education is not necessarily to create more professional dancers or artists. It's to create more complete human beings who are critical thinkers, who have curious minds, who can lead more productive lives." I grew up dancing and definitely feel like it helped me become a more well-rounded person. I learned discipline and was able to express myself creatively, which helped me focus and have a good work ethic in school and work, and become more comfortable thinking creatively. A challenge that can come from this is that it may take a while to see these types of results. When you're trying to convince someone that this is a big benefit of arts integration, they may not be able to see these types of results immediately. With dance, I wasn't able to see these results of my dance training until much later. So this may make it harder for non-believers to get on board. Another challenge is that many students have fears associated with the arts. A lot of students come with preconceived fears about creating art, which could make teaching much more difficult if students aren't willing to take risks or are easily frustrated. After reading the Bayles and Orland article, I realized that I struggle with the fear about myself associated with perfection. When I approach art, I'm always worried that what I produce will not be perfect, and I'm easily frustrated if something doesn't turn out as I had originally intended. Bayles and Orland say, "If you think good work is somehow synonymous with perfect work, you are headed for big trouble. Art is human, error is human, ergo, art is error. Inevitably, your work will be flawed. Why? Because you're a human being, and only human being, warts and all, make art. Without warts, it's not clear what you would be, but clearly you wouldn't be one of us." So I think an important part of teaching is getting students to understand that they definitely don't have to be perfect. And a benefit that could come from this challenge of having fears is that students are able to face their fears. As teachers, we have the opportunity to create an environment in which our students are comfortable making mistakes and are aware that mistakes will happen naturally and often. When the classroom environment is comfortable and supportive, students can confront their fears with lower risk, which I think will ultimately make them stronger people. Another challenge associated with arts integration is that it could be hard to engage parents who are not used to this type of teaching. And it could be hard to get them involved. If a student's parents grew up with learning that was standardized and expected the same results from each student, it may be difficult for them to latch onto the concept of learning the arts while learning other content. According to Arts Edge, to engage parents in becoming advocates of arts integration, teachers should present them with facts from research. Research shows that arts education fosters creativity and innovative thinking, helps students communicate a variety of messages, improves student achievement in other disciplines, advances problem solving and cognitive skills, enhances cultural understanding, increases attendance and graduation rates. So you could easily present them with those types of facts and maybe some research to go along with it to help them understand why it's important. And in addition to sharing these facts, teachers could encourage them to think about how the arts could specifically be helpful for their own child. A benefit of having parents be engaged and involved could mean increasing support for each student. A student whose parent values the arts may feel more comfortable working with the arts in school. It could also mean additional resources for arts if you have a parent who values art highly and is willing to donate time or materials. My parents always valued the arts and encouraged me to get involved with dance and band, and they even tried to convince me to try out for a play. Their support allowed me to try new things that I might not have done otherwise, which I think could be really helpful for all students. Another source I found outside of our class sources is called Minds in Bloom, which shares strategies and activities to promote creative and critical thinking. Although the website is run by a former teacher, there are a lot of guest blog posts by other teachers and artists. The article I looked at specifically was all about the benefits of arts integration. One quote that really struck me was, "Imagine in front of you is a 5-year-old. You hand him or her a marker and he immediately takes it and begins to use it. He doesn't need instructions. He is not apologetic about the work. He does not look at you and say, 'I'm sorry, I can only draw stick people.' He hardly cares what you think about his work. This is creativity and problem solving in its purest form." The author of this, Jenny Knappenberger, goes on to explain that arts integration helps us preserve this innate creativity that young children have. An experience that I had that reminded me of this was a time when my 5th grade art teacher told the class that we should stop giving coloring books to young children and that instead we should give them blank pieces of paper so that they can create on their own instead of following what someone else has drawn. I think integrating integrating the arts into general education could help preserve some of the creativity that is taken away from kids with standardized learning. I think that being able to preserve the innate creativity that young children have would help them become more engaged and critical thinkers as adults, which I think is one of the biggest benefits of arts integration. Another major benefit I found is that art standards have major connections to the Common Core, which serves as proof that arts integration is a successful way to help students succeed academically. An article I found that explains this is Connective Learning Opportunities Between the Arts and Common Core on a website called Education Closet. This article focuses on the idea that both Common Core and art standards are built upon practices and big ideas, which leads to the process-based learning for all. Because the Common Core is focused on practices, there are plenty of opportunities to fit these in with the arts. For example, the ELA Common Core asks students to produce writing and present information. This lends itself really easily to creative writing, playwriting, as well as performing in any of the performance arts disciplines, and presenting visual artwork. The fact that these connections can be made so easily is evidence that integrating the arts is not actually as daunting as it sounds. Also, if you're teaching in a district which focuses heavily on the Common Core, it may not be that difficult to show a principal or superintendent that integrating the arts into other topics can help students meet practice standards. At this point, I think it's pretty clear that the benefits of arts integration greatly outweigh the challenges that teachers may be confronted with when they choose to integrate art into their classrooms. Although it may take more effort than planning lessons where all students are expected to produce the same results, It is clear that integrating the arts into the classroom can help students become more creative, critical thinkers, and can help them become more well-rounded human beings. If you're interested in checking out any of the sources that I talked about, all of them are listed in this description below. Thanks for a great semester.